En ik ga Michel in de spotlight zetten. Michel.
Dankjewel, Ken. Goedenavond, dames en heren, lieve vrienden van het Rotterdams Philharmonisch Orkest. En het is, vind ik, fantastisch dat we de muzici van het Rotterdams Philharmonisch Orkest zo te gast hebben bij ons. En voor deze eerste editie van Meet the Musician hebben we concertmeester Igor Gruppman en solofluitiste Juliette Hurel. En ik zal even kort vertellen hoe deze avond is opgebouwd. Ik zal eerst zo ruim een kwartier met Igor spreken. En dat ga ik met hem in het Engels doen. Daarna ga ik ook ruim een kwartier met Juliette spreken. En dat gaan we in het Nederlands doen. En vervolgens hebben we misschien ook nog 10 minuten, een kwartier om met z'n drieën te spreken en uit te wisselen. En daarna, en ook eerder op de avond, is er alle ruimte voor uw vragen, die dus via de chat naar onze host, voorzitter Ken Gould, kunnen. En dan zullen we ook deze vragen behandelen. Het geheel, zoals we dat ons voorstellen, is heel informeel, alsof wij zo met z'n allen in één ruimte, het is één virtuele ruimte, zitten. En ja, wij willen, denk ik, u net zoals ik, we willen meer weten over deze fantastische muzici, over wie ze zijn, over hun visie op het orkest, op het Rotterdams Philharmonisch Orkest en op het leven als een beroepsmuzikus. En we willen natuurlijk de mens achter de muzikus zien. Dat allemaal gaan we met elkaar verkennen. Dus ik verheug me zeer en heel fijn dat u allemaal aanwezig bent. Igor, if that's okay with you, we will begin together. And actually, I was wondering, just imagine you've been with this orchestra for quite a long time. You know its temperament, you know its energy. Just imagine if the Rotterdam Philharmonic Orchestra was a car. Which brand of a car would it be?
Well, thank you so much, Michel. Hello, everybody. Pleasure to be here. The car would be definitely Ferrari. Yes, yes, for many different reasons. It's a race orchestra. It's an exciting orchestra. It's very high quality ensemble, wonderful. Can you still see me? Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, yes. So that would be Ferrari.
Wonderful, of course. Ferrari, it's a very exciting car. It has a lot of power, as you say. It's very energetic. But on the other side, I mean, I don't have personally a Ferrari, but I imagine that it is maybe sometimes a little bit fragile. Or maybe I can imagine that some people who drive a car would say, well, maybe I would go for a more average, stable family car from Sweden or from Japan. So in other words, this Rotterdam Philharmonic, I get your point. You are a wonderfully exciting and powerful orchestra. Are there downsides to this Ferrari aspect?
I didn't find any in my experience, in my emotional connection with the orchestra. I find talking to conductors that driving this car is very, very exciting. Conducting this orchestra, taking it to wonderful musical places and journeys. And the only downside sometimes when we get sometimes not so exciting conductor or not so exciting soloist, it feels like they're driving this magnificent risk-taking car only in first and second gear. And for us who are nuts and bolts of this wonderful machine, it is not the most exciting thing. But most of the time, it is a fascinating and very, very rewarding journey. Also that we share with our audience.
Okay, wonderful. Let me take the car metaphor just for one more question, take it further. You say then that you have conductors, and usually, of course, very nice conductors generally, and they are the pilot of the Ferrari. You, as a concertmaster, can I say that you are the co-pilot?
In best case scenario, yes. Very often, the greater conductor, the more freedom of participation all the musicians, especially the leaders, have, including myself. Mm-hmm. It's very exciting when this happens.
Because actually, I think that's something that we all are wondering. We see you very often, very close to the conductor. We know there is a very special significance and role of the concertmaster, of the leader. Could you describe this role? I mean, are you an ambassador of the whole orchestra? Are you something else in the whole orchestral texture?
Well, I see myself as a glue between the orchestra and conductor. I see myself as interpreter of the wishes of conductor and his or her interpretation. So in most wonderful scenarios with Yannick, Valerio, or Lahav, any conductors that we have a relationship, in best case scenario, I feel as participant of creating an interpretation on stage. This is very exciting. We're working very closely with conductor, and if there is uncertainty about where conductor wants to take us at this particular moment, most of the colleagues in the orchestra have a contact with me. That's very silent, very, very subtle, in a corner of their eye, basically. And we together decide, where are we going to go? How slow, how fast are we going to play? What rubato, what interpretation are we going to adapt? And that is wonderful. There are some conductors who are quite controlling and don't give to leaders this type of exciting freedom and responsibility. It's okay too, as long as conductors are deeply understanding the musical message and can communicate to us what is it they want and where do they want to go.
When you say you are in close contact with your colleagues and you decide, do you mean that while you are performing, either in rehearsal or in concert, that you decide without words, in a fraction of a second, how musical progress will be?
Absolutely. This is one of the most exciting things about my profession. I do it with my body language and sometimes my eyebrows or sheer energy. Of course, communication with the wind players, percussion sections are much more difficult because of the distance. But even then, we always keep an eye on each other and feel. There is such thing as feeling each other's energy. With great conductors, for instance, if Juliette feels like her solo needs to take a fraction more of a time, then I will indicate to the whole string section that we are reacting to this, that this is now part of the interpretation.
But okay, these decisions which are taken on the spot. I imagine, though, that some preparation is done behind the screens or even outside the rehearsals. I mean, do you spend more time than the rest of your colleagues outside the rehearsals, talking with the conductor or deciding about the bowings or doing other kinds of preparations?
Yes, I do spend more time with conductors talking about style, bowings, some details of interpretation, but not very much. I mean, a lot of it's done by feeling, based on our knowledge and experience, our expertise. Part of my skill and my duty in the orchestra is reading and interpreting conductors' energy, conductor gestures, understanding what they want without actually speaking. And of course, that is a huge subject, but this is a kind of a short answer to that. That yes, it happens in a blink of an eye, and it's not requiring special sessions or some sort of agreements with conductors on those.
Well, you mentioned already 3 of these conductors, and I think it's wonderful in the Rotterdam Philharmonic that just a first name is enough. So you mentioned Valery, Yannick, and Lahav. To talk about Valery Gergiev, who was there when you started as a concertmaster in this orchestra, could it be said that the sound that Valery imprinted on the orchestra is still present nowadays, many years after he left as the chief conductor?
Yes, I would say definitely the answer to that is yes. To what degree and in which repertoire, it's debatable, because Yannick over the period of 10, 11 years had also huge impact on the sound of the orchestra. But in certain repertoire, Russian repertoire, even German repertoire, and Valery's imprint of the orchestra is still there, even though we have a lot of young players who had played with him just a few times. But I think that genetic information is there.
That's quite mysterious, huh? How such genetic information can be transmitted. Is there a process when new, usually young musicians will come into the orchestra and become permanent members? How will this genetic transmission be done?
Well, just to give you an example how it happens sometimes, when my young assistant came to the orchestra, assistant concertmaster, and for the first time had an opportunity to work with Valery, I had to basically break him in. I had to explain, okay, listen, this is going to be a very special experience. Forget what you knew before. You're going to fly without harness, without the parachute. This is going to be scary, but if you get used to it, if you accept it and feel confident to fly, it will be one of the greatest experiences of your life. So this was my introduction, because I felt the same myself, and my colleagues who worked with Valery for many years felt the same intoxication, if you will, with that kind of music making, and we still do. And we long for this. You know, that's when I say Ferrari, Valery is using all 6 gears of that car, and that's why it is incredibly exciting. And again, I said that the reward for our audiences is to be part of this experience, and the reward for us to be able to share this with our public, the moments like this. I think just to say that with Valery, every one of us in the orchestra feels that they are an intricate part of creating this immediate interpretation, and they are they're really well, at the best of their game. He brings the best in all of us.
Valery has, of course, what is described as a powerful, broad Russian sound, usually. How would you then describe what Yannick and Lahav have brought and bring to the orchestra in terms of sound?
In terms of sound, Yannick's approach is his sound is very direct, very honest, very passionate, in many repertoire, different side of the repertoire, and it's with Le Havre. I think he brings the old, if you will, even to me, even old German tradition that somehow, I don't know how, he was able to absorb, maybe through Daniel Barenboim's connection, and that tradition is always present when he conducts. It's a delight.
Which is indeed quite surprising to see that the tradition and the what someone is bringing probably doesn't depend directly on their age, since both Yannick and now especially Le Havre were very, very young when they started as a chief conductor.
Yes.
What is the relevance of age for a conductor of the Rotterdam Philharmonic?
Well, we always tend to, and famously so, engage young chief conductors. They grow with us, and we grow with them, and conquer the world, so to speak. I don't think age is very important in their experience. It is important. So we could see growth with Valérie, we could see growth with Yannick, definitely.
And now Igor is freezing. Let's see if
hope. Laten we
the
hopen
technique can bring him back.
Oplost. En Igor, wij kunnen jou niet horen. Sorry, we can't hear you, Igor. Perhaps, misschien moeten we dan even overschakelen naar Juliette. En hopelijk kan Igor zijn problemen oplossen.
Prima.
Is dat een idee? Ja?
Ja, dat is prima. En ik had nog 1 of 2 laatste vragen voor Igor, die bewaar ik voor straks. En dus, Juliette, als dat goed is met u, dan gaan we nu met elkaar praten. Ja, dames en heren, u gaat natuurlijk 2 Fransen horen die Nederlands praten. En wij hebben afgesproken dat wij doen alsof we in het Frans converseren. Dat wil zeggen, dat is de combinatie van voornaam en u zeggen, wat voor ons, denk ik, perfect gangbaar en heel hartelijk is. Dus Juliette, fantastisch dat u er ook bent op deze eerste editie van Meet the Musician. En ja, u ziet natuurlijk verder van de dirigent. U zit een beetje in het midden van het orkest als solofluitiste. Is dat een gunstige plek waar u zit om te musiceren?
Ja, ik hou enorm van deze plek. Ik vind dat het is echt, denk ik, voor mij de beste plek. Want ik zie de dirigent heel goed. Ja. Maar ik voel ook de muzikus rondom mij. En ik kan bijna iedereen zien. Ja, behalve een beetje de slagwerken. En de hoorn zijn. Maar tijdens de repetitie kijk ik vaak. Want ik vind het heel leuk om te kijken. Maar ik zie de strijkers heel goed. En dat is ook wat zei Igor, heel belangrijk om een contact met hem te hebben. Maar ik zie ook de zaal. Ik hou van deze positie rechtdoor.
Ja. Heel mooi uitzicht op het publiek ook.
Ja.
Maar kijk, er wordt vaak gezegd, ja, orkestmuzici die hebben fantastische oren en die moeten luisteren. Maar wat is nou tijdens een concert het belangrijkste? Is het luisteren naar elkaar? Het kijken naar elkaar? Is het een combinatie? Hoe gaat dat?
Het is een combinatie, maar ik zou zeggen, luisteren is nog meer belangrijk.
Ja.
Maar soms moeten wij ook goed, niet alleen luisteren, want soms als wij luisteren, zijn wij te laat. Bijvoorbeeld, echt, de dirigent is belangrijk, want als wij doen met wat wij horen, soms zijn wij te laat. Maar voor in de blazers bijvoorbeeld, voor intonatie, voor ensemble, is het echt luisteren. Maar als wij spelen met collega's die verder zijn. Ja, de dirigent is echt de grote hulp.
Dan heb je dus deze combinatie van zicht en horen. Nu heb ik me laten vertellen dat bij de blazers dat er een soort viereenheid is tussen de 4 eerste blazers. En dus, want jij zit naast de eerste hobo en achter jullie zitten dan de eerste klarinet, eerste fagot. Maar hoe gaat dat dan? Wie bepaalt de inzetten? Is dit een collectieve inzet? Of zegt u af en toe, nou nu ga ik even het ritme aangeven?
Nou, meestal proberen wij om samen te ademen, als we hebben iets samen. En soms de klarinet vraagt, ja Juliette, kun je een beetje even laten zien? Maar met een heel duidelijk dirigent, meestal is het niet nodig. Maar soms, de dirigent kan niet alles even laten zien. Of wij. Maar als ik heb een solo met oboe, echt bij mij, ja, dat is echt natuurlijk. Wij kennen elkaar heel goed nu. En wij ademen samen en het gaat vanzelf. En het is echt mooi om te zien en jaren na jaren om te voelen. Dat is een goede team.
Dat is heel goed om te horen dat het zo organisch gaat. Nu als fluitiste. Er is natuurlijk een repertoire waarin de fluit uitblinkt. En dan denken veel muziekliefhebbers aan de vroege 20e eeuwse Franse muziek, Debussy, Ravel. Maakt het voor u uit in welk programma u ziet? Bijvoorbeeld als het een Beethoven-symfonie of Schumann of juist moderner Shostakovich, etc. Maakt het uit voor de manier waarop u zich bijna fysiek op een concert voorbereidt?
Fysiek, dat weet ik niet, maar in ieder geval moet ik altijd thuis studeren. En ik neem altijd de partij bij de bibliotheek. Maar elke stuk is anders qua moeilijkheden. Maar fysiek, ja, er zijn symfonieën die meer vermoeiend dan andere zijn. Maar dit kunt u niet voorbereiden. Het is echt op het moment. Bijvoorbeeld de Bruckner-symfonie, de Mahler-symfonie zijn echt veel langer dan een Beethoven-symfonie. Maar een Beethoven-symfonie kan ook heel vermoeiend zijn. Want ik denk voor mij de Beethoven-symfonie zijn de moeilijker.
Oh.
Ja, qua intonatie, ensemble. Het is echt heel precies. Dus het is altijd moeilijk. De Beethoven.
Dat is apart. Dit is niet wat je als... Ik bedoel, er zijn minder noten en toch is het moeilijker. Beethoven.
Ja, want er zijn heel veel melodies samen met de andere blazen voor intonatie. Maar bijvoorbeeld de Brahms symfonie zijn ook heel moeilijk voor intonatie. Maar bijvoorbeeld een Schumann symfonie is misschien gaat meer vanzelf.
Maar wat zijn dan uw favoriete componisten om in het Rotterdams Philharmonisch te spelen?
Mijn favoriete componisten zijn... De eerste is Maurice Ravel.
Ja.
En ik hou ook enorm van Debussy, maar ik hou van de Brahms symfonie. Ik voel altijd iets heel bijzonders. Het is heel rond, heel nostalgisch en het is heel goed geschreven. En voor het orkest, het is moeilijk, maar er is iets heel soepel. En ik hou enorm van Stravinsky.
Ook weer dezelfde periode, een beetje begin 20e eeuw.
Ja. Dus, ja.
Maar goed, nu heeft bijvoorbeeld Igor vertelde, we weten natuurlijk, hij heeft een heel bijzondere band met Valéry Gergiev. U heeft denk ik een heel bijzondere artistieke band met Yannick Nézet-Séguin. Wat brengt Yannick, ik stel een beetje dezelfde vragen, wat brengt Yannick aan het orkest in termen van klank, maar misschien ook van energie of van andere zaken?
Ja, Yannick heeft een ongelooflijk enorm energie. en passie. Dus in de repetitie is het echt heel levend, altijd. Hij vraagt veel dingetjes en het is altijd heel interessant en heel duidelijk wat hij wil. Maar in de concerten, het is echt, hij geeft zoveel, ook fysiek en ook hij kijkt naar iedereen. Hij is echt iemand die heeft aandacht voor iedereen. En dat is heel bijzonder. Dat ken ik niet zoveel mensen zo. En hij glimlacht ook veel. En dat geeft ons veel goede, positieve energie.
Ja.
En hij maakt ons blij. En het was grappig toen, ik herinner, soms speel ik niet alles en soms ik kijk en ik zie de collega's in het concert, iedereen is blij. En dat is heel, heel speciaal van een dirigent. Ik ken alleen Yannick met die kwaliteit.
Maar goed, als Yannick heel veel geeft in de concerten, houdt het ook in dat hij soms dingen anders doet in het concert dan in de repetities?
Hij geeft meer. En hij kan ook veranderen. Dat is ook leuk. Ik herinner lang tijd geleden met een Beethoven-symfonie. Wij hadden 3 of 4 concerten. En de tweede concert heeft hij een totaal ander tempo genomen. Van een deel en de scherzo misschien. En daarna hij zei ja, het was zo leuk om iets anders te doen. En dat houden wij heel veel van. De variatie van interpretatie. Niet elke avond hetzelfde.
Dat hoort misschien bij het nemen van risico's, waar Igor en ik het aan het begin over hadden. Ja. Kunt u zich trouwens vinden in de vergelijking door Igor met een Ferrari? Het Rotterdam Philharmonisch als Ferrari?
Ik ben een autoliefhebber, dus ik zou dit niet doen. Ik heb geen... ik hou niet van, dus sorry. We moeten een andere image vinden.
Zijn er misschien dan andere beelden die bij u opkomen om het orkest te beschrijven?
Iemand met een grote persoonlijkheid.
Ja. En uit het zich ook in het profiel van de muzici die jullie aannemen. Stel, jullie moeten collega's aannemen. Letten jullie ook op de persoonlijkheid van die collega's?
Maar dat heb ik gemerkt. Ik vind heel, heel leuk dat in een proefspel, bijvoorbeeld wij horen 10 mensen en één vertelt veel met de muziek en doet een klein fout. En de andere speelt perfect. En wij gaan altijd kiezen voor die met een klein fout. Want wij weten dat het gaat meer gebeuren op het podium later. Dus wij willen niet te saai iemand.
Dus tip voor de jonge muzici die auditie doen bij het Rotterdams Philharmonisch. Durf fouten te maken.
Nee, durf muziek te maken.
Durf muziek te maken en ook als er even een fout komt, dan...
ga door.
Ja. Hoe was het trouwens... U kwam ruim 20 jaar geleden in het orkest. Is het puur toeval? Ik bedoel, is het Rotterdam geworden? Had het net zo goed een andere stad in een ander land kunnen zijn? Of dacht u, Rotterdam, dat zal bij mij passen?
Nee, het was echt toeval. Ik was op zoek naar een orkest. Het was echt mijn droom om in een orkest te spelen. En ik had een beetje geprobeerd in Frankrijk. Maar toen hadden wij een soort... boek elke maand, denk ik, waar wij konden zien waar zijn audities. En ik heb gezien Rotterdam. En ik heb gedacht, ik ga proberen. Maar ik wist niet toen dat Gergiev de dirigent was. En ik herinner heel goed het proefspel. Eind van de proefspel kwam een man. Ik dacht, wat een raar gezicht. En het was goed. En daarna pas heb ik gehoord dat hij Gergiev was. En ik was zo blij.
Mooi verhaal. Ik begreep, want ik heb u onlangs bij Podium Witteman gezien. In een leuk programma, ruim een week geleden. En ik begrijp dat u ook in het orkest 2 fluiten gebruikt.
Ja.
Een houten fluit en een gouden fluit. De keuze voor het ene of het andere instrument, hangt het puur van het repertoire af of zijn er andere overwegingen?
Nee, het is alleen van het repertoire.
Ja.
Want ik speel bijvoorbeeld over 2 weken doen wij een mini Matthäus Passion. Dan speel ik met houten fluit en de Beethoven meestal ook. En wij spelen niet vaak Mozart of Haydn, maar dan wel. Maar Schumann zou ik niet doen bijvoorbeeld, of Mahler ook niet zeker. Maar dus ik stop rond 1830 zoiets.
En dan het verschil zou zijn waarschijnlijk dat houten instrument misschien een wat intiemere klank heeft, stel ik me voor.
Ja, het is ook minder briljant. Maar ook, ook minder mechanisch, het is ook minder virtuoos. Maar dit is misschien mijn houten fluit, hè, die een beetje meer niet zo elektrisch.
Ja.
Als ik moet bijvoorbeeld de symfonie klassiek van Prokofjev spelen, die gaat heel snel, dat zou ik nooit met de houten fluit spelen. Maar andere fluitisten spelen alles met de houten fluit. Het is echt persoonlijk.
Maar goed, afhankelijk van het instrument neem ik aan dat het mengen met de andere blazers met name toch totaal anders is. Dus hoe schakelt u elke keer om? Moet u zich aanpassen? Moeten de collega-blazers zich aanpassen?
Dat gaat goed.
Ja.
Ja. Want misschien zijn ze ook gewend met dit verschil. Maar meestal zijn ze blij.
Dus dan kijken ze even, wat voor fluit heeft Juliette vandaag?
Nee, het is nu, zij weten dat als ik speel de oude muziek, speel ik met hout. Het gaat vanzelf nu.
Ik heb toch een vraag over uw rooster bij het orkest. Want u heeft denk ik, net zoals de andere soloblazers, heeft u grofweg een halve tijdbaan. Dat betekent, stel 1 week spelen en dan 1 week rust. Wat doet u dan in de andere week waarop u niet speelt?
Ja, meestal studeer ik de stukken van de week die komt daarna. Ja. Maar ik doe ook andere concerten, ik doe kamermuziek en ook solo.
Ja.
En dus ik probeer een goede balans te krijgen.
En lukt dat? Of is het elke keer weer, als u terug bent bij het orkest, is het weer altijd even zoeken? Of?
Nee. Maar soms, en ook jammer genoeg de laatste tijden, hebben wij echt niet te lang niet gespeeld. Te lang tijd niet gespeeld. En dat is wel een beetje, hoe gaat het? Maar het ging gelukkig goed. Maar als je niet 1 of 2 weken speelt, dat is geen probleem om terug te gaan. Maar als het 2, 3 maanden zijn, dit is anders. Ik herinner de eerste keer dat ik moeder was, ben ik vrij lang tijd niet bij het orkest geweest. En ik was wel nerveus. Ik dacht, misschien weet ik niet meer hoe te doen. Maar het komt wel terug.
Maar goed, nu was natuurlijk een heel bijzondere omstandigheden voor u zelf toen u moeder werd. Maar nu met de eerste lockdown vorig jaar, denk ik dat het orkest misschien 2 maanden niet gespeeld heeft, zoiets. Ja. Hoe was de eerste repetitie na die eerste lockdown?
Ja, het was magisch. Ja, we waren zo blij. Het was raar, want wij waren ver van elkaar. En het was de eerste keer dat wij moesten dit doen. Ja, maar iedereen was zo blij en het moest gebeuren. En eindelijk muziek horen en spelen. Maar ik heb tijdens de lockdown concerten op mijn balkon gedaan. Voor de buren. En ook met mijn man, die ook fluitist is. En En we hebben ook gezongen en ik heb met ik heb een buurman die gitaar speelt. We hebben met Braziliaan muziek gespeeld. Ja, ik dacht dat gaat niet. En de buren waren ook heel blij. Ja, het was echt vreselijk tijd om geen muziek te kunnen spelen.
Maar muziek verbindt, dat blijkt weer.
Ja.
We moeten het binnenkort afronden. Ik heb toch even nog een laatste vraag, want u had het over uw man die ook die fluitist is en ook tegenwoordig dirigent. En ik begrijp dat u ook af en toe samen optreedt. Met je echtgenoot optreden, is het makkelijker, moeilijker dan met iemand anders optreden?
Het is veel plezier. Want wij gaan samen en het is makkelijker, denk ik. Het is niet moeilijker, maar en wij kennen elkaar zo goed en wij hebben elkaar samen heel veel gespeeld. En het is ook goed, want wij kunnen thuis voor de repetitie samenwerken. Dus hij weet precies wat ik wil. Dus ja, het is een cadeau om te mogen spelen samen. Ja, het is makkelijker.
Mooi. Een cadeau en ik denk dat het orkest in vele opzichten ook een cadeau is. Juliette, heel veel dank voor dit eerste gesprek. Blijft u vooral erbij, want straks moet even kijken. Misschien ga ik nu eerst mijn gesprek met Igor afmaken en dan spreken we nog zeker met z'n drieën nog even. Igor, wonderful that you are back. Is it okay if we just go on for a few more minutes, you and me? Wonderful.
Sure.
Because actually I wanted to ask you also a few questions about yourself so that we get to know you a bit better. On your website is written Igor Gruppman, conductor. And I first wondered, am I on the right website? But in fact you are conductor, you are concertmeester, leader of the Rotterdam Philharmonic and sometimes of other orchestras, and you are of course violinist in your own right. How do the three combine together, these three activities?
Early in my life and my career, I wanted to do all three things and try them, because I feel that in order to be a complete musician, I needed to do all three. I needed to be to have experience of doing this, and I took it very seriously. I studied conducting at Moscow Conservatory with Kondrashin and Rождественский, but I never wanted to leave the violin. And I have to say that this was a great blessing to be able to be a concertmaster and a conductor and also violin soloist, to know the music making process and the art of communication in the different settings. This have been very enriching for me. It made me understand so many things about the orchestra, for instance, about the magic of making music, about magic of communicating between ourselves and also with the audience, reading conductor. When I conduct the orchestra, I use my experience, of course, as concertmaster 100%. And the other way around. When I lead the orchestra, my conducting experience helps tremendously to fulfill my goals as a concertmaster, as a leader, because, you know, both concertmaster and conductor, I mean, these two positions are very, very related to each other, very close, because both require a unique skill to be able to lead and follow at the same time. Simultaneously, and that is very exciting.
I was wondering, Igor, there is, if I understand well, there are two schools in orchestras about how to place the violinists in rehearsal and concert. Some people say, and in some orchestras it's the same, always the same two people at the same standard music stand in good time, in normal times, of course. And there are other orchestras which say, no, we will be rotating the violinists so that each violinist is always sitting next to another colleague, every week another colleague. What is the policy of the Rotterdam Philharmonic, and what is your influence in that policy?
The policy is rotation.
Okay.
We are rotating, except for the first 5 chairs, which are the principal players in the first violins, and first 4 chairs in the second violins, and first 4 chairs in the viola section, and so forth. The rest of the section are rotating, and I think I supported fully this practice because it gives, not only musically, it gives us the possibility of knowing each other better, sharing the responsibility, but also in a social way. It makes people know each other better, also in the personal habits. There are lots of conversations that's going on, during rehearsals when we sit together on the stand. So rotation, I believe, from my experience at least, both in Europe and in America, it is a more healthy way of keeping the orchestra happy in a long run.
Great. And I would have a last question, which actually is a bit similar to that I asked Juliette at the end, because there is one violinist who is specifically very dear to you. It's your wife, Vesna. And I understand that also sometimes you perform together, for instance, in concertos for 2 violins. So the same question as to Juliette, performing together with your wife, Vesna, is it easier? Is it more difficult? Is it different?
All of the above. In a way, it is easier because we feel each other's energy, our spirits, and so well that we don't need to talk. So there's no conversation necessary. At the same time, it's very difficult because husband and wife, there is no definite leader. And so we have to always negotiate these things very well. But it's a special delight and a very special feeling to make music with a person who is so close to you in every way.
Wonderful. And certainly negotiated is one of the skills that you are excellent at. So I'm sure it goes all very well. Igor, thank you very much.
Help me with diplomacy, of course, a lot.
Diplomacy, that's the key. So, thank you very much, Igor. Maybe it would be a good moment if Juliette could join and if we would have a short talk, the 3 of us. And so it's great to have you both here. I mean, you are both so familiar to us who watch many concerts in the Doelen. Now it's great to have you all together. How often, outside the rehearsals, how often do you discuss the matters, the orchestral matters together?
We discussed not long ago, Igor.
Yes, I was just thinking about the same thing.
What was the topic? If we may know.
The topic, I don't know. What were we playing? I really don't remember. It was, we play so little.
Rachmaninoff, right?
No. I didn't play Rachmaninoff.
No, okay. Then it was something recent, very recent.
But will you then be discussing about a specific program? Okay, how should we do it? Or should we do more, I don't know, more piano, more forte, quicker, slower? Is it this kind of discussions?
No, it was more if I can say, it was more the process of the rehearsal. We were discussing how it was going and how could we improve certain things. It was not purely musical.
You are both at key positions, actually, of course, the concertmaster, but also a solo flutist. How can you influence this kind of process, let's say during a week? Maybe you start on Tuesday and you have the concert on Friday, Saturday, or something like that. How can you influence the process during these few days?
We cannot.
Sometimes we can, sometimes we cannot, but we certainly have a possibility of getting together, searching for each other's eyes on stage and also backstage. We could have a conversation, we could have a cry or a scream, whatever necessary. But not every orchestra is the same way. Rotterdam Philharmonic is the orchestra where musicians feel a sense of great participation and ownership of the orchestra and the destiny of the future destiny. So if there is a problem, we don't just go in our own corners and say, well, we have a music director who is going to take care of it. We participate, we get involved together with our colleagues, of course, but of course, on many occasions in the past, it's a group of the principal ontvoerders, of the principal players that took a lot of responsibility for not only musical, but also organizational decisions and decisions of the future of the orchestra.
Yeah.
Am I right that then there will be, let's say, I guess 5 or 10 string players, and the 5 principals who are playing that time, and maybe the other 5 who are not playing that week? And will there be also, I don't know, 6, 7 wind players, or the double of it? Is it the small club which then takes responsibility, as it were?
Sometimes we have vergadering, and then it's good because we have vergadering of the ontvoerders and we have vergadering of the group but if we need to discuss, we will try to find a moment, but it's not happening often. And luckily, we don't have enormous issues. So it happened maybe once or twice that we by ourselves decided to make some appointment, but usually it's not needed to be a large group.
Sometimes there is one moment, of course, where you can discuss and exchange quite a lot, all of you, of the orchestra. It's during the tours. And I understand you have more or less in normal times 1 tour a year, and plus small travels for the residencies, for instance, in Paris or in Dortmund. Are these tours also a good way to unite the orchestra further?
Yes, it's always special, the tour, and it's always good for the atmosphere of the orchestra. We always notice it. Igor, I have a souvenir with Igor in St. Petersburg where we were like maybe 10 colleagues and we were eating amazing food. And Igor told me, it's good, huh? It's good, huh? Remember?
I remember that. I remember also when we had to pay our bill, that I had like a stack of rubles as high up to here, so many rubles, like a tower of money that I had to pay the waiter.
Yeah, this is very nice. We all have, and when I see your bridge of San Francisco, Michel, behind you, it makes me a bit sad because we should have been there 1 year ago.
Yeah, and it was just the time where things began to worsen. I'm sure when you are traveling together that some friendships develop, and maybe quite often in orchestras even relationships also develop. But do these friendships and more personal contacts, do they have an influence in the way you perform? For instance, do you feel that after, when you are back from the tour and you are back in the Doelen, do you feel, oh, we are playing better because maybe we know each other better and we feel each other better?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to it. So yeah, touring is always great, and the relationship, the better we know each other, the better we mix and play. That's great.
When I see in conservatories where I come sometimes, it happens, not always, but it happens that the string players will get together quite easily, and maybe the wind players will get together quite easily. Now here we have a string player and a wind player. Would you both agree that there is this kind of community, sub-community within the orchestra, sub-community strings and sub-community winds?
Yeah, it's true that we mix easier with the people around us, but it's not. I have also extremely good friends in the strings section. So, and also it's true if you see the copper blazers, they're also together. But this is not compulsory.
Right.
Igor,
Yes,
you feel it the same way?
yes, I agree. I agree completely. There are friendships and relationships across the instrumental lines, and people have. There are different groups. Also, age connects people. Young children also, and challenges sometimes that families have with this. We also have quite a few couples in the orchestra, husband and wife, partners, and in that respect, we do feel that we are a family. Perhaps sometimes the dysfunctional family, but still a family.
I'm sure.
When I hear some stories of French orchestras, for instance, I really think there is a special good atmosphere in our orchestra. And maybe I'm totally naive, but I don't hear all kind of story like this, or I'm totally naive. I don't know, but when I hear sometimes in some orchestras what's happening, that people really have big problems, a relation problem. I think, and what I also enjoy a lot about our orchestra is that I really think everybody wants to do his best, and everybody is really willing to play the best concerts possible. And I don't hear some, I don't want to play. This also I don't hear. I hope it's true, but that's what I really feel.
No, I absolutely agree. From my experience, and not only in European orchestra, would I sometimes come as guest concertmaster or even guest conductor, but also in American orchestras and English orchestras that I worked with. Rotterdam is, my goodness, it's one of the best in that respect, and that was my experience. So Juliette, I agree completely.
I will ask you one more question about this, and then maybe it will be time to take some questions from the Vrienden, because this question about music, about communication and nice atmosphere in the orchestra. You are both foreigners, non-Dutch musicians who have come to Rotterdam, who have made their home in Rotterdam. Could it be that this excellent atmosphere in the orchestra has partly to do with, let's say, the Dutch gezelligheid?
Maybe.
Yes. Why not? I think so. I think very much so. It's the directness of Dutch people, honest way of expressing their thoughts, their emotions, that makes this part of the relationship maybe easier somehow, or more understandable and more straight, in a sense, for me.
Yeah, but in another hand, I also like a lot this mix of nationalities in the orchestra.
Yes.
And I think this is also an enrichment.
Yes.
Wonderful. Let's take a few questions, I think, from the audience. If Ken, you have collected some of them.
Yes, there are several questions. Shall we do this in English then? Then I need to translate a few, but that's no problem. First of all, a couple of questions related to Corona. As a result of the Corona rules, the distance between the musicians on the stage is much larger. How does that affect your playing? Does it make playing together more difficult? And a related question about the Beethoven symphonies. You played them in a smaller ensemble, almost always without a conductor. Was that more difficult? Was it more intimate?
Should I go?
Go.
The fact that we play far from each other, of course, it's not easy, but now it's already nearly 1 year that we do it, so we are used to it now, and I think anyway we have to, but it's true that it's not ideal. And for the small Beethoven symphonies we did, with that conductor was challenging, of course, but it's very much reduced. And we had really to do a chamber music work on these pieces, on these transcriptions. And it was, I think, also for the relation with the colleagues, very good to be able to see in a small group and to even go deeper in the relation with the colleagues. And well, yes, it was really a fantastic experience to do. And it's a new, because we could hear each other very well, and it's and there are good transcriptions, really. And I think also for the outer world to see that we did this that we really wanted to do these 9 symphonies in one period time, short time. I think was really a beautiful experience. And I'm happy one of our colleagues, Alexandra, she gave this idea. It was a very good idea.
Igor, did you want to add something about the difficulty of playing with?
Yes, I completely agree. I think in the string area, we are well used to the new setup already. And in a way, we quite soon after starting to play this by need, we also discovered some advantages to that. And some of the advantages are kind of strange, but now, for instance, each musician now have their own part and their own stand. So that creates a certain very convenient independence. Also, how should I say it? When you play by yourself on the stand and your partner is farther away, it invites you and almost requires you to play in a more independent, more giving, more individual way. And I think that this individual sound that each string player gives, rather than worry about blending with the stand partner, you worry more about your own sound and your own musicianship. I think we discovered that it actually adds something to a group sound.
Maybe a small detail about this. How about page turning? Because if everyone is turning their page at the same time, then the sound will just fall down. Or
very good point. We try to work out our music in such a way that we don't turn at the same time. But it is somewhat of a problem. We're still dealing with this.
This is actually something that I discussed with George at one point about the possibility of having large iPads with your music electronically, and then you could change the pages with your feet. Is that
yes,
that would be attractive?
Yeah. See, this is the vision that I had some 25 years ago that I thought about with a smile, because to me it sounded like it's never going to happen. But right now, many orchestras are already using this technology.
Mm-hmm. There were some more questions. A question about the difficulty to change conductor. Is that a difficult transition for the orchestra, or not a problem at all?
Do you mean hire a new chief conductor?
Well, the question is,
or go to week.
Yeah, the question is indeed dubbelzinnig. You can interpret it as you wish. Both ways.
Well, I don't know. To me, no, there it's not difficult to change conductor. It's actually interesting to have different conductors, especially if they're good.
Yeah, very good. One comment from Anne-Marie that I had to pass on. I love Igor, j'aime Juliette, blijf spelen, veel dank. From Paul, a question about the young audience. Is there a way that you can think of to attract a younger audience to the orchestra?
I think the orchestra is really working hard to find new programs, and also this core classic, which is now 3-4 years maybe. That's what they do, but I don't know. We also can always give ideas, and I must say they are always open to what we. Also in this Corona time, it was really very good to see that the direction and administration, they really wanted us to give ideas also. But I think they are doing a good work to try to attract a new public, but still.
It's hard work. The Friends actually are also trying to do that by encouraging the Friends to make friends out of their children and their grandchildren. We have a special rate for of €10 for new friends of the Vriendenvereniging. So that's also an answer to the question. An interesting question from Hans de Kiewit. How are new orchestra members taken into the orchestra? How are they absorbed into the orchestra? What is the process? What's it like for somebody who's new joining the orchestra?
First, he's doing a proefspel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and after he has a 1-year trial. This is a question? I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's fine. And
then after 3-4 months, I think there is a first evaluation, and the members of the commission say if it's going in the right way. If there are some comments and some things he could ameliorate. And after 1 year, there is a second commission. I mean, the same commission is speaking again and voting. Actually, the second time we are voting, and then we see if there is enough yeah or not enough yeah.
Yeah.
I guess there will be a lot of informal guidance as well between these few moments.
Yes, I could add only that there is a lot of guidance taking place, verbal, not verbal, a lot of communication, a lot of checking out, and talking amongst ourselves, like what do you think of this new person? What is he or she? Are they blending? Are they socially also accepted? Are they watching conductor? Are they attentive? Are they caring? Because I mean, when you make music, you open up. We all open up on stage. We become vulnerable emotionally as well. And it is important to have next to you the people that you could trust, the people who are positive, the people who love music, and basically share the family values, if you will, in the orchestra. That becomes a very important moment in absorbing a new person, whether this person is going to be repelled or accepted. And sometimes a person not getting a contract with the orchestra, and this person could be a great instrumentalist, but something doesn't work. That's it.
Yeah, it's very sad when we don't take someone. It doesn't happen often, but not nice.
Has the process of auditioning new people, has that been put on hold this last year, or has it continued without stopping?
No, it's continuing.
Yes, yes, it is.
Very good. There was a question from Mr. Wolf. If you, yeah, Tony, I can unmute you. You had a question about Igor's instrument. You can unmute. Yeah.
Okay, hello Igor, Tony.
Hello, how are you?
A long time ago, the Erasmus Stichting, you will recall.
Yes.
Yes. Now, first of all, you compared the orchestra with a Ferrari. I think you can compare the instrument you are playing with a Maserati.
Well, absolutely, absolutely.
And I wonder if you, how the maintenance is going, and if you are able in this Corona time to visit London to have it serviced.
Well, this is a perfect question because it is in the need of sound adjustment, as instruments constantly need this a little bit of sound adjustment, especially in a different year. And I am not able to go to London to do it. So I am anxiously waiting for this possibility to go there and do it.
Okay.
The instrument still sounds wonderful.
Yeah, but you love it.
Oh, I love it.
Okay.
I treasure every day, every moment that I can touch it.
Maybe you
I hope to hear you and your wife in Capelle within short.
Oh,
you
yes.
have a session there.
Yes.
We will be there. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Look forward.
Thank you.
Maybe you can tell us about a bit about your instrument.
It's the violin by Antonio Stradivarius himself, made in 1731, and it's owned by Erasmus Stichting, our own Rotterdam great Stichting, and it's generously on loan to concertmeesters of Rotterdam Philharmonic. Kees Hulsman played on this violin before me, and then I was fortunate to spend the last 10 years playing that instrument, and it is a remarkable experience and a great honor.
I'm wondering, Juliette, violins, they can go on for the whole life of a musician. For a flutist, how long will your flute be with you before you have to replace it?
It's more a matter of taste, I think. The flute can stay. But if I one day think, yes, I should maybe change, but I'm very happy with my flute now. But my previous flute was stolen. So I had to change, but if it wouldn't have been stolen, I think I would still have the same. No, I think, for instance, the oboe player, they have to change because the every 5-6 years, something like this, and clarinet also. But the flute, yeah, we don't need to change.
Thanks.
The Vriendenvereniging will be purchasing 2 new oboes this year. And
Great!
yeah, so it's a large portion of what the friends all together are able to accomplish for the orchestra and for its sound.
Yeah, I would like to take this moment very quickly just to thank the Vrienden for everything they do for the orchestra and for, by extension, to each of us individually, with their generosity and their active involvement. We appreciate it beyond anything we can express. That's so important.
True.
Well, it's, on behalf of the Vrienden, I have the honor of actually thanking you for that compliment and expressing the thanks from the Vrienden back to you. I think Michel said at the beginning of this conversation that muziek verbindt, music connects us all, and we hope with these conversations with the musicians of the orchestra to help build on that connection, that sense of connection between the orchestra and the members who I think, just like Annemarie said, we love you, and that love is obviously wederzijds. It's reciprocated, and So I don't see any other questions, but Michel, did you want to wrap up with any other question, or?
Maybe I would like to ask both Juliette and Igor. First, thank both of you so much for coming here and sharing your thoughts with us tonight. But I would like to ask you if you certainly have dreams about the future of the orchestra, and if one of these dreams may come true, which one would it be?
I have a dream, and it has to come true. It's to play in the Doelen with a full audience and a full orchestra. And this, I should not think too much about it, because I really don't know when it will happen. But the day it will happen, it will be very, very, very special. I think we will all cry.
Definitely. I could not think of a better dream and fulfillment of the dream as what Juliette just said. Yeah, it's the same. We live to share our art, our feelings, and for us to be deprived of that, to play without audience, is almost a torture, especially for such a long time. So when we will see full audience and feel that energy again, I think we will all cry for sure, because the experience will be so powerful and so much appreciated.
But also, you remember, we used to hug at the end of the concerts on stage.
Yes.
And we cannot imagine today to hug anymore.
That's right. Yes.
But it will come back, Igor.
It will. I know it will.
It will come back.
I know it will.
A wonderfully hopeful conclusion as far as I'm concerned. Thank you.
Beautiful. I thank you both, Igor and Juliette, and Michel. Thank you so much for your preparation and your very, very interesting and to the heart of the matter questions. And thank you all of the people attending this evening. We will be hopefully able to place this recording of this online later, so that more people can enjoy this. And in a month on Nadia, the 14th of April will be our next next Meet the Musician session. And I hope that you will join us then, and also tell other people to join us, because we can accommodate up to 500 viewers.
Wow.
Yeah. So thank you all for coming, and
thank you so much.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Bye, Juliette. Love you.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.